Hello everyone and welcome back guys to episode 13, I want to say, of Jamie and I's F1 2021, the unnamed podcast. Yes, we're back today to review the Austrian Grand Prix at the last weekend. Now, Jamie's back reporting from his OG bedroom. He's gone back home again. Jamie just doesn't stay in the same place very often.
But I've got too many houses, so...
That is such... I don't know.
Let's move on.
It just such an unnecessary flex at the start of the podcast. Have you noticed as well as Xbox Series Xbox in the background? There was a lot of X's and boxes in that sentence. He made sure that was
coincidence.
There. Yeah, pure coincidence was it? He says, as I say with actually no, you guys won't be able to see it. It's cropped out of the video, but I got my Fanatec room in the corner of my shot. It won't make the edit. In all fairness, it's not in range. But yeah, no, Jamie. Before we dive into it though, how are you getting on, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
My new house in Manchester hasn't got internet and it has got rats, so apart from that, I'm great.
It's like living in the 1900s all over again. It's
pretty
great.
much, yeah.
What a time to be alive. But yeah, reviewing the Austrian Grand Prix though, I'm first of all gonna put my hand up and say I predicted the score for England Germany, or did I say that last week? No, I said that before last week. Well, I predicted it.
Last week it was when the game happened.
Yeah, I also predicted Ukraine England as well. I predicted 4-0. So I'm saying
at a second attempt.
At a second attempt, but still. So Jamie, England Denmark. What we saying?
Well, clearly you're the football guru in this situation. What do you think?
Yep.
I don't want to say what I think first, because then you just copy me and claim it as your own.
No, I never would do that. 2-0 England.
I would say 3-1 England.
3-1 England. Fair enough.
Denmark are good.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But anyway, this is an F1 podcast, but it is coming home. Wow.
What? It's a fact.
The man had a cardiac arrest.
Yeah. So how is that a bad?
They've played better without him, to be fair.
That's worse than what I said. Oh dearie me!
Right.
It's already descended into chaos, and we haven't even got to the F1 yet. But yeah, so I mean, I'm going to also, before we dive into it properly, say your prediction as well was correct. Austrian Grand Prix generally better than Styrian Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, the race was actually really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Much better than Styrian. Styrian's the worst race on the calendar. Bin it off.
Not quite. But yeah, I mean. Obviously, this video is going to be going live on the Thursday, just so you're aware of that as well, because I haven't mentioned it to Jamie before now. So England Denmark would have already happened as well. So
we're in the final. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we Jamie and I are heading down to Wembley at the weekend as well. But yeah, Jamie, talk me through qualifying talking points for the Austrian Grand Prix.
It was fairly standard beyond one driver, being Lando Norris, pulling an absolute madness out and qualifying second.
Yep.
Almost grabbing pole like he did in Imola, or temporarily in Imola, to be fair, but this time it actually counted.
He never temporarily got pole at Imola. People forget this.
No,
he only temporarily
came second.
Yeah. No, it was P3 in the end anyway, because Perez went quicker.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, the best result ever, I think, for him in qualifying. So very well done, Lando. And the McLaren was on it all weekend, apart from Ricciardo, who's really bad.
No, the McLaren was on it all weekend. Ricciardo wasn't.
To be fair, Lando has always been a Spielberg merchant as well. He's always done really well there.
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah, it's quite a weird track. It's a track for iRacers.
It pretty much is for simulators. Like, it's so simple, so you can pretty much master it if you do enough laps, which people like Max and Lando clearly do enough laps to master every single corner perfectly.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's only like 6 corners that actually matter. So I guess that's probably why. That could be a reason why they're so good at it. But yeah, Max and Lando
iRacing's now got the Red Bull ring as well, I should add.
Yeah, I'm sure Max and Lando have played it ever since, celebrating their podium. Spoilers, sorry. But yeah, Mercedes on the second row, pretty normal stuff. And then, other than Vettel almost killing Alonso, nothing else really happened. And that was the end of qualifying.
Yes, so. I think we should briefly mention that, shouldn't we, from poor Alonso. You come through that penultimate corner, see a car there, and I thought it was quite funny, the fact that he then... did Seb was never actually going to try and go on to another lap after that, was he? It seemed really weird.
Out of time, yeah.
Yeah, so Yeah, it didn't really make much sense from any sort of degree, to be honest. But I did make me laugh the fact that Alonso then just sat on the racing line back to turn 1, even if he was going to try and do a lap.
Yeah. Yeah, and Alonso thinks, obviously it's Fernando Alonso, so take everything he says with a pinch of salt, but he thinks he had the pace for the top 5, which he probably did. In Q1 he was very good.
6th or 7th. Who was 5th in the end? Was it Perez?
Yeah, Perez.
I think Gasly. 6th or 7th he could have been in a shout, but not 4th or 5th. And can I also just mention, you said everyone was average in qualifying. You forgot one other person.
Oh yeah, Big George.
Big up George Russell.
P9,
thank you very much. P8.
Well, 8th after the penalty.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, mediums as well.
Yeah, it's
really well done.
It's great to see for British motorsport as well. That there was really that worry for a long time, wasn't there? And as much as I was a fan of Jolyon Palmer, I think even I could accept he probably wasn't going to be the next Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1. But it is so reassuring to know that we have got a couple of big talents now, and they're there ready.
Russell and Norris is smashing it this season completely.
Yeah.
Like, Russell's points will definitely come. I'm almost certain he'll get at least 1 point this season, you'd hope.
Yeah.
And also the Mercedes seat will come with it, I imagine.
Whoa, this is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jake Humphrey, with the deleted tweets coming in now. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, except for when I'm one for conspiracy theories. Yeah, he tweeted out, didn't he? He tweeted like,
well done to Russell.
Yeah, getting
like
the big seat. Getting the big gig. We were getting the big gig, wasn't it? And then very quickly deleted it. Yeah. And
so I personally think that it will be announced on the Silverstone weekend.
There's going to be an announcement for Silvo. We're waiting for it.
Yeah.
There's
got to be Thursday. Binned off somewhere.
Yeah. Bottas will get sent back to Siberia or something. But yeah, no, I think surely George has done everything. You must think if George. The thing is, George Russell as well can go to Toto Wolff. If you don't get me a seat next year, I've got other teams that are willing to have me. Because he will.
I'm sure Red Bull will want him. Yeah.
Red Bull would have him. I think McLaren as well would really look to have him.
Yeah.
Down the line. I mean, McLaren, George and Lando as a team combination, I reckon, would be.
That'd be great.
It would be great, and then very toxic very quickly, I reckon.
I don't think it get that toxic.
Really?
I feel like Hamilton Button.
Hamilton Button got pretty toxic.
No, it never.
You're making it up. They weren't happy the fact they kept taking each other's engineers, were they?
That was Hamilton Rosberg, was it not?
Hamilton Rosberg as well.
Well, maybe Hamilton's just a bit of a diva, which is probably true.
Even as a Hamilton fan, I'm not going to deny that. I don't think anyone can ever deny Hamilton's a bit of a diva.
No, it's true.
As well, of course. But yeah, we jump into the Grand Prix then. Lap 1, considering we had a car retirement, was still quite undramatic, wasn't it? Ocon had like the
Ocon
most
was terrible.
Undramatic DNF you ever see in Formula 1. Just got squeezed out. Was it Giovinazzi on the inside, or was it
Giovinazzi and Williams on the outside?
Latifi on the outside.
Russell was actually doing well. So.
Well, the start wasn't great for Russell. He went down to 12th, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true.
It was
he's never been good at starts.
Yeah. Well, I think the Williams balance as well doesn't help with that. Latifi's really...
No, do you remember in his debut season when he would always out-qualify Kubica and start 19th, and then every race without fail, Kubica would get him onto the first corner?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
He's never been good at starts at all, Russell.
No, they've not been his strong point. It's fair to say. As well, of course. But yeah, Ocon obviously got squeezed out by Giovinazzi at the start, up at turn 3 even, I should say. Had nowhere to go. It was just wheel to wheel. Like we said, his front wing was completely intact.
He was quite unlucky to actually retire from that. Like, you see how often where it's just tyre rubbing.
No, that sort of contact from that angle is always going to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, there wasn't... The only other thing he could have done in that situation was when Giovinazzi's coming over, hard lock left, Giovinazzi goes to the sky.
Take out Latifi.
Well, Giovinazzi goes to the sky because this tyre's already close enough. Latifi goes to the sky as well. And then you just hope that, for Ocon's sake, he hasn't destroyed the suspension in the process. But you think in that... Yeah, I don't think F1 drivers have the mentality of in that situation you're going to take someone out as well if you're going out. Senna and Prost might have done a couple of times. But yeah. The other drama, lap 1 though, which wasn't really drama on lap 1 in itself, it sort of became drama because of everything else that went on with the Grand Prix, of course, was the penalty for Lando Norris. Squeezing out Perez at turn 4. Perez gets dumped back to the midfield. That wasn't lap 1, was it? That was lap 4.
No, that was after the restart.
That was after the restart. Well, it happened anyway on lap 1. It was lap 1 after a safety car. Of course, obviously, because we got the safety car from Esteban Ocon's retirement from the Grand Prix, obviously, because he just couldn't park the car anywhere. Fair enough. But yeah, Jamie, thoughts on the penalty then? And I am going to quickly get up a YouTube poll I ran because I need to incorporate these more in videos.
Oh, that's a cheeky plug.
Get subscribed. There's daily polls. 5 p.m. every day I put up a new Formula 1 related poll for you guys. Get on it.
I completely see why it was a penalty. And applying their own F1 rules, which is what you should do when you're a steward, it's 100% a penalty. But I think the problem lies in that we've seen very similar incidents in the past, which have been left to let them race. So I can see why people are frustrated. I can see why people are bringing up 2 years ago when Verstappen passed Leclerc at turn 3.
Yes, yeah.
Because it was actually very similar to that.
It was
the only
exactly
difference
the same.
was that turn 3 has tarmac runoff and turn 4 has gravel runoff.
Exactly.
So based on what the other driver loses, in my opinion, shouldn't determine the penalty because it's the same crime. It's just a different outcome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, penalty, yes or no?
Yeah, I think as per F1's rules, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. So, like I said, I ran a poll. It's currently ongoing, if you guys still want to vote on it. 596 votes, Jamie.
I think I'm one of them.
51% voted yes. 49% voted no. It's that close. People are really divided on this. And I'll be honest,
see why.
I've got the same mentality as you. If someone did that to... I always think, for me, how would I feel if someone did that to me on iRacing? And if someone did that to me on iRacing, I would be annoyed.
Yeah, definitely.
I would probably do the same thing to someone else on iRacing. I'll hold my hand up and admit I've squeezed my fair share of people off. Well, not off the road,
thing is, like,
to the limit.
If Lando does leave space there, he definitely gets overtaken.
This is the problem, isn't it? I think
so he's not really got a choice. Yeah.
They say if you then have to adapt your line for the corner, you've already given up the position, and this is where it gets grey in Formula 1, isn't it? If you have to then give the car room on the outside, I can English, I can words much goodly. You've already given up the place at that point. Like, it's 1 in 10 you'll hold on to it if they get bad traction.
Because the outside car's got way traction.
Exactly. So it's so difficult to find that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, one solution would be just put tarmac runoff everywhere, so there's no penalties ever. But that'd be a bit boring.
Do we really want 23 Paul Ricards or 22 Paul Ricards now? We should say.
Paul Ricards is pretty good.
Yeah, this year it was.
Yeah.
I'm not predicting next year it will be, and as we both know, all my predictions are 100% bang on.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So everyone is still deeply divided on.
I don't think it made much difference, to be honest, in the end. So. I know they say they think they could have got second, but I think Bottas would have got him eventually.
I reckon Perez would come P2. I'll be honest. I think it would have made. I think it did make the difference.
I was talking about the penalty.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Obviously, if the incident hadn't happened, Perez would have come second quite easily.
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I thought you meant. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the penalty for 5 seconds to Lando didn't make much difference.
No. Well, I saw a couple of memes on Twitter today of Perez obviously saying that Lando pushed him out. And they obviously go copy that. So Perez did copy that and did it to Leclerc.
Twice.
Exactly, yeah. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. So obviously then we see Lando battling with the Mercs over quite a few laps, actually, over the next window.
Yeah.
And it was clear to see McLaren, this weekend, I think, will give them a lot of information for future. What people seem to forget for a lot of teams is that with the shortened sessions, 1 weekend doesn't give you the time to get the car perfected. 2 weekends at the same track, though, really, really does. And McLaren have proven they have got a car. Now, I wouldn't say it's on par with Mercedes yet. I'm more than happy to admit that.
No, it's not.
People forget this is Mercedes' bogey track anyway in Formula 1 at the moment.
And Hamilton's never been that good there.
Hamilton, it's not been his best track in the world, but he's never been bad around here, I'd say. It's always just been Mercedes who struggle with cooling and things like that, isn't it? Because
he was always in Rosberg's pocket, and then Bottas has done him quite a few times in this
2016?
circuit. Well, Rosberg should have won that if he didn't decide to drive into it.
If he just never turned into turn 3. He was off to...
Yeah, but Rosberg still had more pace that race, so...
Hamilton beat him.
Yeah? 2014 and 15, Rosberg beat him both times.
Did he?
So, yeah.
Fair enough. That's
a fun fact.
mean, yeah, didn't Hamilton have issues though?
No.
Yeah,
one of the times he crossed the pit lane exit, and one of the times he was just bad.
Fair enough. I'll take your word for it. I don't believe you, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, no, so it's never been the best track. Obviously, the thing is, it really plays to Mercedes' weaknesses as well, doesn't it? Their car is not designed to follow other cars, and being high up in the mountains is like following other cars, because you've just got no air.
And it's always really hot anyway.
Yes,
I think when I was there, it was 39 all weekend.
Yes, yeah, no, when I was there, still it was like 36. Yeah, it's one of both Grand Prix we've been to, obviously with the exception of Silverstone, we've both been to, haven't we?
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
And this time, in 2 weeks' time, it'll be 3.
You all have been to Silverstone. I've never been to the British Grand Prix. Perhaps I'll have to do that next year. If you guys want to see a vlog of Jamie and I doing the British Grand Prix next year, 4 likes.
I think we'll still be friends next year.
No, but we'll still be doing a podcast together. Don't you worry. But yeah. Anyway, looking further on then, obviously, like we said, after Hamilton and Bottas got past Lando. Did Bottas get past Lando? I say that.
He got it in the pits because he had the penalty.
Yeah, obviously Lando was given that 5-second penalty. Then we see Perez do the same thing to Charles Leclerc. Now, Charles Leclerc, I don't think it was helped this weekend by his teammate Arthur Leclerc going for the most banzai move I think I've ever seen in Formula 3 racing. And that's saying something, because Formula 3 is full of banzai moves. Charles Leclerc this weekend, I think he's built himself up even more of a reputation of being a bit on the optimistic side. I think that's what makes him exciting alongside Verstappen, isn't it? Of the both
I thought both moves
behind the wheel.
were quality. I thought they were both really good moves on Perez, and Perez just decided he wasn't having any space.
Yes,
so barged him off both times.
I meant actually more looking at turn 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not really too sure what people think he could have done this year. A load of people were comparing it to like last year with Vettel, weren't they?
Oh, with Vettel at turn 1, on lap 1, sorry, turn 3. I mean, yeah, it was a bit unlucky, but he just broke very late. I've had it in league racing before.
What I don't understand is Vettel came right across the track as well.
Yeah.
If Vettel hadn't done that, Leclerc would have steamed up the outside and probably had him.
Yeah.
But no, apparently not. But yeah, no, Perez and Leclerc, they had a really good ding-dong. Obviously, we saw Ferrari sort of cementing that pace we saw from them last weekend as well, which was really, really great to see as well. Obviously, they're very much 4th best team, I think, this year. Obviously, a little way off McLaren if they carried on developing.
They'll be McLaren sometimes, I think. Like, Ferrari have 2 poles. At some tracks, they're going to be better than McLaren, definitely.
Not a lot, I wouldn't say, to be honest. I think McLaren have got a pretty well-rounded package, and they're not stopped development yet, where Ferrari have.
That's true, yeah.
Ferrari as well, with the new tyre pressures, have struggled more recently. As well, of course. But yes, obviously, we saw Perez get those penalties against Leclerc. Again, I think, had they not given the penalties to Lando, it might have been a bit harsh to give them to Perez, but they gave the pens to Lando, so they kind of had to give them to the Perez at the end of the day.
I think, especially the first one, was ridiculous from Perez.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, Leclerc was so far ahead into the apex of that corner, and Perez was like,
I'm keeping the nose there, I'm not backing out, I'm having it!
That was really bad driving. We see it a few times, like, very rarely with Perez, but it seems like when he has a bad race, like, in terms of driving, he really does have a bad race.
No, Perez is weird though. Like, for me, Perez is more like he'll have that one move in a Grand Prix where he'll go for something that you just think is completely out of character for Perez. Like, I think a lot of people forget, don't they, that he's one of the most experienced drivers on the grid now as well. Where he's never had top machinery up until now. And you can give me all the BS about McLaren 2013, but that wasn't a top cut.
No, not at all.
It just wasn't. But people seem to forget Perez is weird in that weird position, isn't he? Of he's still got a lot to prove, but he's also got the talent to prove it.
If he obviously he's still got a lot of backing, which helps. But if he doesn't perform at Red Bull, he's never getting another top seat.
No.
So he's
but he is performing at Red Bull.
Yeah,
I think his contract will get renewed soon.
I think it will as well. To be fair. Just because they've got no other option at the minute. I think Gasly's doing well, but they won't take him back.
Gasly doesn't want to go back. That's the thing, isn't it?
That's true.
Gasly is
He's
so
probably doing
worried.
better in AlphaTauri than he will be at Red Bull.
Gasly is so worried now. He may as well sit in that AlphaTauri until Alpine give him a phone call, because it's going to happen. End of next year.
He's French. Of course it'll happen.
I don't want to... Well, Alonso just needs to call it quits at the end of the day. He's been doing better.
I think he signed a 3-year contract.
2 years. He
Okay.
said he wants to sign a long-term deal like Ocon. This is why we're going to make a video over the summer break as well, discussing Renault need a junior team. In fact, I'm going to write that down now. You talk more about the Grand Prix. I'm writing that down before I forget.
Yeah, so Perez, I remember back in Singapore 2018, I think it was, when he took out Ocon and then just drove into Sirotkin for no reason at all. Like, he has these races like maybe once every 2 seasons or something where he just drives a bit maniacally. There you go. That's a word.
Is that like the Monaco Grand Prix?
The Monaco, yeah. So yeah, he'll get over it. I'm sure he'll continue doing well. But yeah, not a great race for Perez really, although sort of caused by Lando at the start, so maybe not his fault, but we'll let him off. Then after that, yeah, the race was fairly quiet for like maybe 20 laps or so, and then the last 10 laps sort of kicked off. We had Sainz, like last week, came out on a fresh set of mediums after going really long on the hards. I think he came out in 9th, just behind Gasly, and then had Gasly 8th, Leclerc 7th, and then Ricciardo 6th at the time, Perez up the road in 5th, but with 2 penalties over his head. And then Sainz does what Sainz does and just overtook everyone. And then, yeah, really good move on Ricciardo at the end as well to grab the 6th place, which effectively was 5th because Perez was 9.6 seconds ahead over the line. So Sainz managed to jump in, but no one else did. So Sainz finished 5th at the end from 10th on the grid. So really well done to him. Never won a drive of the day, but maybe he should have done. And yeah, Leclerc was stuck behind Ricciardo the whole race because they had very similar age tyres.
Yeah.
That was, yeah. Gasly in 9th, just
smoothest
chilling.
of operators. It must be.
Yeah, Sainz is doing very well, to be fair to him. He's only 2 points off Leclerc, which no one would have predicted at the start of the season, I don't think. So,
I don't know. See, people say this. People also forget just how good Sainz is at adapting. Like, you think
he is very adaptable.
He's been with
drove
half
so many
the
cars,
teams on the grid, hasn't he? Now it's mad. Like, you look at it. He's been with Renault. He's been with Ferrari.
Toro
he's been with Toro Rosso. He's been with McLaren. He's already been with 4 different teams.
Yeah. And he's definitely driven Red Bulls before in junior career as well, so call it 5.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, you look at who would have thought, to completely sidetrack quickly, who would have thought when Verstappen got the call for Red Bull over Sainz that 5 years later he'd be driving for Ferrari?
Quite a lot of people, actually. I remember at the time, like, it seemed that Ricciardo and Verstappen were locked in for ages at Red Bull.
Yes, yeah.
And people said Sainz is good, so he needs to find another seat. And a lot of people said Renault or Ferrari. So
Gasly needs to be looking to Sainz for advice. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, barely any drivers in the Red Bull Junior program ever escaped the Junior program in F1.
No, and
so
escaped in one piece.
Apart from Sainz and Ricciardo are the only ones who've actually stayed in F1 after leaving Red Bull.
Vettel?
And Vettel.
I was going to say, yeah.
So yeah, Gasly's got I don't know, get out soon. Although he's already had the shot at Red Bull, hasn't he? So it's going to be quite hard, I think, to get a top seat anywhere. But I did see, obviously it won't happen. But I saw rumours of Mercedes, which is probably just absolute wishful thinking.
No, they've got to put George in. They can't lose George.
Not for next year, but maybe down the line.
Down the line, possibly.
Because he's performing very well at the Gasly.
Yeah.
And the race on Sunday, he did the best he could. I think he qualified 6th.
Yeah. Started
on the softs and was the only driver who started on softs to get into points because the soft tyres were terrible.
I would argue as well, in terms of season consistency, he is pretty much on par with Norris and Verstappen as well.
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree.
I think he's gone a bit underrated with him because, unfortunately, I think a lot of it, sadly, is to do with the fact he's not British. It's terrible.
Sort of.
I think it's terrible as well because he has smashed it so far this year.
Because imagine that
people hype up Lando.
a young British driver.
Lando's very clever with his own marketing, which helps him out with it as well. But I think, Gasly has been underrated this year from a lot of people. I know you're frothing at the mouth now because I've given Gasly so much support this year when I used to just absolutely rag him, but he has been pulling it out over and over.
It's been those 3. I think you can't argue that Verstappen
have been
Norris,
the most 3
Gasly
consistent.
Have been the best 3.
Exactly.
So he finished 9th, another good 2 points. Couldn't do much more with the car and the strategy, I don't think, but still putting Tsunoda to shame. So we move, and then 10th place was quite interesting as well. Matt, do you want to talk us through that one as you're the Russell fan in this group?
Are you not a Russell fan?
I like Russell.
Am I only just learning now you're not a Russell fan? Oh, mate, I was gutted. Like, anyone but Alonso. But Alonso battling. Like, I just don't like Alonso. I don't like the way he acts in Formula 1. I don't like the fact he's still in Formula 1.
You don't like the way he beat Lewis in his first season?
He didn't beat Lewis in his first season. Hamilton finished 2nd overall, and he ran rings around. He kicked Alonso out of McLaren. Alonso came in as a world champion, and Hamilton running riot. So,
running riot by 0 points, did he?
Yeah. He finished ahead of him.
You get a trophy for finishing 2nd, don't you?
Probably. You get the second place trophy. Have you ever seen the FIA Prize Gala?
That's true.
Hamilton's been to it so many times he doesn't even show up to collect his winner's trophy anymore. And I'm sure this year, if he finishes runner-up, he won't go either.
He probably won't show up, would he? I don't think he will.
The best thing about the FIA Prize Gala ever was still Kimi
Kimi
Räikkönen
Räikkönen
getting
being
hammered.
Yeah.
And just his wife being so embarrassed. But anyway, back to my dislike for Fernando Alonso. It was getting towards... I must admit, actually, so I'll explain first of all, obviously, Russell running 10th place with a few laps to go. Alonso, I'm watching that gap come down. I know once it goes under a second, it's a matter of time before Alonso gets him. And fair play to Alonso, after the Grand Prix, he did come out and say he wished it had been anyone but George that he was battling for that final point.
Alonso's been really nice. He's such a Russell super fan, Alonso. Is so funny.
Because he knows he's better than him. And it's a young British guy that Alonso can still beat.
That Alonso's actually likes, which is quite surprising.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a massive fan of young Lewis, was he?
No. Or Lando, to be honest. I can't imagine Alonso was a big fan of Lando either.
Oh yeah, he kicked him out of McLaren, didn't he?
But he didn't kick him out, but then suddenly McLaren gave Lando a good car.
Yeah.
As well. But yeah, so obviously Alonso then got Russell with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. It was a really good battle, actually.
It was a really good battle for
so.
quite a few laps. I think that's why Alonso liked him so much, because it was proper sort of... Not too aggressive, but I think they both sort of knew
what was going to happen.
No, I think they both sort of knew what was going to happen, but I think also Alonso didn't want to do anything to George either.
Yeah.
I think if he wanted to make the move work, don't get me wrong, but he didn't want George to end up risking a retirement from it or anything like that.
It was like George shooting Lenny at Advice of Men. He didn't want to, but he had to.
It's a very weird comparison, I'll be honest, but we'll roll with it, I suppose. But yeah, looking further down the order then, obviously Tsunoda, a bit of a disappointing week. Oh, not disappointing, I think, just...
He did good qualifying, but a terrible race, so...
Yeah, only 3 places behind Gasly. It just happened, obviously, Gasly still got the thing into points there, and Tsunoda didn't quite this weekend.
And Tsunoda got 2 penalties for crossing.
Oh, yes, that was not good. How he managed that twice, I will never know. Stroll as well, disappointing weekend. Considering how well he did last weekend and was gutted by it. Yeah, very, very surprised this weekend.
Yeah.
I guess the only other thing we can talk about was Vettel versus Raikkonen on the final lap.
Yeah.
What went on there?
Strange. I think that what it was everyone was trying to vote Kimi for driver of the day, so he heard that he was getting voted driver of the day and just thought, screw this, and crashed.
Yes, yeah.
I think people are being harsh on him, because I've seen the overhead shot, and they do kind of merge into each other. Obviously for Raikkonen it looks worse, he does just steer into him.
Yes,
But Vettel was also coming across ever so slightly.
Vettel was coming across ever so slightly, but that's still...
It was obviously Raikkonen's fault, but it's not like he's blind and should retire.
No, I think he's got to go. He's got to go. Come on.
Well, that's your opinion.
But there's more talks.
I still think he's better than Giovinazzi. So.
Giovinazzi's been better this year than he has in the past, but I agree. I think both of them should go still.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Ilott and the young French one. What's his pusher? Get him in.
No, get Mick Schumacher in first. Give Mick Schumacher a year in the Alfa Romeo. Well, it's like, Alfa Romeo came out and said, didn't they? Fred Vasseur came out and said, we've got a quicker race car than Williams. Williams have Russell. Which I thought was brilliant.
Did he actually?
He came
That's
out and
quite
said
cool.
that, yeah.
I mean, he's 100% right.
Yeah.
Because both Alpha drivers beat Latifi week in, week out, but they can never get near Russell.
No, exactly.
Actually, to be fair, Kimi was right behind him until he just decided to drive into Vettel.
Exactly, so. Yeah. But anything else to add then? I mean, Mick Schumacher and Mazepin finished 2 laps down. They also were there this weekend.
Don't really care.
Mazepin got a black and white flag. I noticed that.
A lot of people got black and white.
Yeah, to be fair, half the field did, didn't they, in the end?
Though Mazepin also got a 30-second penalty post-race for ignoring yellow flags.
Oh, was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was it, wasn't
and
it?
Latifi did as well, so they both got 3 penalty points. That's another thing, actually. Have you seen anything about that or not? The penalty point situation.
Oh, Lando's really close, isn't he?
So Lando's on 10 which
out
will
of
become
12,
8.
yeah.
It'll become 8 when the time is at Silverstone. But the rest of his points don't reset until like October.
Yes, yeah.
And also Perez is on 8 as well. So that could get interesting. I think penalty points.
I think they're going to change the system.
A bit of a sham.
Yeah. The fact that Hamilton almost got a race back kind of seems crazy.
They'll never actually I remember back in 2017 it was Grosjean was 2 points from a ban in USA, took out Leclerc on lap 1, which would always be 2 penalty points, which would therefore be a ban. And they just gave him 1 to miss any drama.
Yeah.
So they never have the bottle to give bans out anyway, so they're definitely going to change the
And to
system.
be honest, as much as people want to hate on Mazepin, I don't think anyone deserves a ban either. There's no one that I look at week in, week out now. Let's be fair. Mazepin, first couple of races, ropey.
But he was just dangerous to himself. He wasn't dangerous to
No,
other
exactly.
drivers.
The only time he got involved in a crash with anyone else was Latifi taking himself out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But since then, he's not been on par with Mick, but he hasn't been far away either.
And it's so difficult in that car
Exactly.
to do anything.
It's kind of
like,
irrelevant anyway. As long as he doesn't get lapped by Mick, he can't really do much else wrong at the moment in the car. I must add, he can do a lot wrong outside it still before people cancel me. But yeah, I mean the Austrian Grand Prix, like we said, better than Styria. Not great though, still was it?
I enjoyed it. I would give it like 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, roughly.
Fair enough.
There was a lot going on. Midfield was very hectic.
I guess again it comes down to Hamilton versus Verstappen fans.
Which driver wins?
Yeah, which is fair enough. But we're gonna do a proper podcast about this next week. We got 2 races from Silverstone in one weekend. First sprint race. We're looking forward to it. You're going to be there, of course.
Yeah, I'll be doing a live podcast.
With a live podcast.
I forgot about the sprint race, to be honest. I was like, what on earth?
So,
yeah.
Sprint race and Grand Prix predictions.
Well, the sprint race is basically going to be whatever happens in qualifying, because it's like 15 laps long or something. I think Mercedes are going to come back fighting in Silverstone, to be honest.
Do you?
So,
well, put it this way. Toto Wolff came out today.
Toto is being very confident. Yeah.
No. Right, did you see that on ESPN?
No, I saw it on Sky Sports after Austria. He was like, we come in... He was obviously joking. But saying, like, we come in Silverstone, win by 30 seconds.
So much I've seen on Twitter. They've twisted it.
What
he said it sarcastically.
Oh, yeah, I was watching it live. He did say it sarcastically.
Yeah.
But they have got an upgrade coming for Silverstone.
Right.
So...
I've Mega Driven Max Verstappen on my fantasy team. Am I going to regret this?
I wouldn't do it at Silverstone. I'd wait for Hungary or something, yeah.
I might have to change my fantasy roster again.
So, yeah, I would probably say Hamilton wins a sprint from Verstappen and Bottas. Yeah, why not? And then obviously that sets the grid. So those 3 get points for the sprint race.
Yeah.
No. Oh, by the way, Russell is 100% finishing top 10 in the sprint.
Oh, don't! Don't do that! Oh, because he will now. Oh,
and then he won't in the feature.
No, Jamie, why?
So he's going to finish like 9th or 10th in the sprint, get no points,
and then
start
finish
9th or
12th
10th,
in the Grand Prix,
and then finish 11th in the race.
Oh, Jamie, you've just made me more depressed.
Enjoy.
Thanks for that.
Get ready for that when it happens. So yeah, and then the actual race, Tyre City, Verstappen wins, Hamilton, Bottas. There you go.
Fair enough.
I'm absolutely laughing.
I am going to go sprint race, Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Grand Prix, Hamilton, Bottas, Perez.
So Verstappen's out and I'm depressed.
I'm going to say Verstappen goes out. And I'm going to remove him from my F1 fantasy.
If that happens, I'm like... There's going to be tears all the way back.
Well, there won't be a podcast, will there? You refuse to do a podcast if Verstappen retires.
I'm going to get laughed at so hard in my Red Bull shirt if Verstappen goes out and Hamilton wins.
And it'll be me doing a lot of the laughing.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything to add on before we wrap up this one? We've done quite well today. We have had quite a long podcast.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else to add other than it's coming home.
Of course it's coming home, yeah.
Yeah, and then... I'm at Silverstone in 2 weeks' time, so
yeah.
Get ready to hear about that for the next 6 months.
I'm looking forward to it already, as I was meant to be going to the Spa 24 at the end of the month, and that's not happening. So love that.
Yep.
But yeah, I just want to quickly say as well, a massive thank you for 15,000 subscribers on the channel. I know I've been sort of saying it a lot in recent videos, but I know obviously some of you guys that just watch the podcast. So, you know, it is greatly appreciated as well.
I'm here, isn't it?
Exactly. People who come for Jamie on these videos as well, of course. But yeah, a massive thank you for that as well. Like we said, we're going to aim to be back next week with a podcast. We've both got other stuff going on though as well. So we're going to try and get one done, but we're not going to promise it just yet. We'll wait and see about that. Like we said, we've got some ideas as well, other stuff we want to do, sort of between us as well with the channel. So yeah, really looking forward to that as well. But yeah, I think, does that wrap us up then?
Think so.
Thank you everyone all so much for watching once again. If you have enjoyed and you aren't already, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. And we'll hopefully be back next week ready to preview the British Grand Prix.